Get into some analysis of the market's activity we've seen today, and joining us for that is Rufus Mwanyasi, who's an investment analyst at Tsavo Securities. Rufus, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Let's get straight into what you're seeing play out on the ground on that end, because we've seen the slow release of results having increased a lot of the anxiety amongst Kenyans thus far, leading to complaints from the various political parties, having said that the results from around the country look to, to be unclear, unjust. What kind of feel do you get sitting on that end on the ground?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say the fact that, in view of all the political parties that are, involved in the process, it's only one political party that has come out and saying that, there could be some few issues here and there that need to be looked at. But largely the process has been, the people, political parties and all interested stakeholders, have given it a thumbs up, and all the international observers have said that, the process has been, transparent and credible. So I think, just one voice of dissent does not really spook anybody. And I think, from my end, what I see and just, talking points in the market, I think people are largely very confident that, the whole process is going to be over. And, by Friday, as stated by the, election body, that we're going to have the final results. So I guess, I would like to say that, the market is very confident, and largely the country is very calm and patient. And I think, I think we're going to have, say, for example, if those statements, by the party are true, I think they ought to be channeled to the right authorities to deal with. But I think, when you look at, the market, like we've seen today, the market is up 34 points. To me, that to me tells me that the market is very confident, and no information, whether negative or is going to spook the market at this point in time.
So overall, the sentiment seeming to be positive, Rufus, but we have had some negative news filter through on the earnings scene. Fuel marketer Kenyan issuing a profit warning for the full year to December, saying that they could be hurt by the high fuel prices and the volatile exchange rates as well. Market reaction to those numbers that have come through?
Yeah, it's true. Okay, the market is really negative on that stock, and even our outlook for that particular company is very negative, simply because they've had a terrible, last 12 months, and some for them to correct that, it may take a while. And just to mention a few points here, is we're talking of them losing market share, and it may take them more than a year to correct that situation. And two, we're talking about correcting a situation sometime in the first quarter of last year. They put some wrong hedges on the forex, and I think they really paid dearly in terms of, financially. So I think going forward, they might struggle, but it may take a while before they correct some of these things that happen to them. So I think the market is looking at that and saying, first of all, there's the main story of, surrounding that stock has been the Puma deal that never fell through. So I think all these negative factors, synthesized together, I think the market is really bearish on that stock. And as you saw, it lost about 30% since the news came out. I think going forward, we're likely to see just continue trending downwards, perhaps dropping down a couple of points to about 10, from the closing price of 11 today.
So confidence in Kenyan really being dealt a hefty blow today. Of course, this on the back of negative news that has been filtering through already, Rufus. So what do we need to see the company get right, change, adapt in order to spur on investor confidence yet again?
Well, first of all, we felt that the deal between them and Puma was going to be like a lifesaver, because they were going to put in some more money and to help them retire some of the debt load that they have. Going forward, I don't know what they're going to do, but in my view, they'll need, one of the critical things is to shed off some of that debt that that has been actually putting a drag on their performance. And actually, part of the poor performance that we've seen for the last year has been the high interest rates that that paying on those loans. Secondly, also, okay, it's a factor that is out of their hand. The idea of the volatile oil prices. I guess going forward, they need to find a good advisor, to advise them, putting some good hedges on the forex side, and I think that will help them correct, that situation that they faced. And also, just going forward, also I think they'll need just to do a bit of aggressive marketing, to win back and to reclaim some of that lost market share to some of their rivals. So I think if they correct some of this situation, I think they'll be good, to rebound back up.
On the opposite end of the continuum today, Rufus, we've got CFC standing as the top gainer for the day. We've had that share price rising over 9.5%. Let's go through some of the sentiment around that stock right now, because certainly it's been one of the better performers in the banking sector when it comes to the kind of earnings that it's managed to put on the table. What are you making of the kind of activity we're seeing on that counter and the valuations right now?
First of all, I think for that particular stock, we're just coming out from a banking earnings season, and out of all the 5 banks that released the results, CFC Bank was one of the best in terms of percentage returns. It had about 64% return, bagging almost $55 million, and I think the market is looking at that and saying, wow, this is the stock right now, and this is the flavor right now that we are supposed to be testing. And I think a bit of what we're seeing today is partly speculation and partly long-termers gaining in, thinking that it's a good term buy right now. And I think that is based on the fact that last year it was one of the laggards. It really underperformed, but in that particular sector, it really had a largely a flat year last year. So I think guys are looking at that and saying, when you look at all the banking sector and the stocks in it, CFC holds a good proposition. So I think that we're seeing guys rallying behind that stock, and we'll likely see more and more upside and going forward in the coming months, simply based on that information.